Everyone. Okay, good morning, everyone. This is on. Hey, Melissa here. So I'm going to talk about some things, and this might be a sensitive topic to some people, but I think it's important to talk about. So I did a video last night on the narcissist mother. A lot of people have experienced this. A lot of people. So what happens when you have a narcissist mother, mother-in-law too? That my husband went through this too with his mother. But the narcissist mother leads her kids into trauma. That's a whole nother level that we're dealing with here. So, as a pro-life mother advocate, someone who had a forced abortion, I will tell you the damage that was done was huge. It was huge. It's almost like you're not a real person. That my objective, I have my needs, my desires, I have that need to be met, and you are an object that will be used to meet my needs. So when I was pregnant, again, this was my mother's crises. I didn't even have a chance to express how I felt. Like I was just like totally dazed, like a deer in headlight. Like, don't tell me you're pregnant. And all this drama happened. She ran and told my father, and oh my goodness, she was just so upset. I didn't really have a voice. It was just like, nobody asked, how do you feel about this? So a lot of narcissist mothers have a lot in common. They have the golden child, which I was. I was my mother's trophy. She wanted to do better than what she had, which I think most parents do. But for her, it was, make sure I had the nice clothes to go to school. There was a show publicly that was very different than the private show. A lot of mothers will want, the appearances to look good on the outside, but never mind the inside, right? So we go through that. And my mother actually worked in a high school with in the kitchen serving other people. So my friends, like one of my guy friends was like, "Oh, your mom was cool." And I'm like, you didn't really know my mom. There was no development of this was my friendship. So my mother actually had more of a friendship with a guy who was more of my friend than anybody, than her friend or anything, right? So then there was the I was the trophy, my brother was the scapegoat. He was the black sheep. This is very common in a narcissist relationship. It's the golden child has to continue, in a sense, earning her favor, where the black sheep is someone who loses a lot of self-esteem because they're never good enough. There was a book called Will I Ever Be Good Enough, from the narcissist point of view of a mother, right? So there's a lot that goes into this. It's sometimes very difficult to see, and you really have to have a trained eye to see the different ways this comes out. So what we want to do is we want girls to understand that they do have a voice. They are a person. They're not just a trophy. They are a person. They have their own voice. They have their own rights as a teenager to have a voice for themselves and what they want. So shortly, I was, as you deal with this abortion and you heal from the trauma, you are going to see things much better. So when I was healing from some of this trauma of how I felt, even in the office, yesterday I was thinking too, I actually had my legs up, like you have your legs up a little bit when you're giving plasma, just because you're laying down, right? And so these memories are coming back. Somebody put their white coat on, that reminded me of the doctor. And so the thing is, as I healed from this, and although Colorado has been challenging for me because I came here on very little, but I needed the extra time to deal with this. So it's been going on 2 years, and everything has pretty much been dealt with from the pro-life class that I finished, the post-abortive class I finished. I got to grieve my baby. We had a sort of funeral for the baby, candlelight service, naming my child, to volunteering for the pro-life organization, seeing what pregnancy centers do, getting resources for girls, to dealing with a trauma class. And I will be talking about this again as I deal with this in a trauma class tonight. So it's been a good solid 2 years of dealing with this, and I didn't have the time to deal with this before because I had a job to do. I had my kids to raise, I was homeschooling, I had a lot to do. So I think it's really important when you've had so much going on in your life from the time you were young to the drama. I listened to a lady in a class recently who was talking about just she had a brother who was, on drugs and he was homeless, and how that affected her growing up. And I definitely could relate with an uncle who, was on drugs, and just there's just so much that swirls around, as you're growing up. I think it's important to take some downtime